Hi, Oscar here with Comix, connecting readers and collectors with comic book creators. Recently, we had a conversation with Sam De La Rosa, the artist behind the Venom Lethal Protector, the one who passed on that project with the Transformers because he wasn't a fan of drawing robots. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, join me and enjoy this fun conversation with him. Let's get started.
Hello, guys. This is O Comics. Welcome, everybody, to this new year, 2025, and Happy New Year to everybody. So, just to get this a series of interviews with great talent out there in our community, we're gonna start with Sam De La Rosa, which is right here with us, and we're thrilled to have you here, Sam. Welcome to O Comics. Welcome to the series of interviews.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Just happy for the interest. Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, for whoever doesn't know anything about Sam De La Rosa, I'm sure a lot of people know your iconic cover that is right there next to you on the background. For those who don't know, Venom Lethal Protector. It was very, very well known. It's an iconic cover. A lot of collectors out there always look for this cover. And if you guys have the privilege of being in a convention and Sam is there, he's gonna have all his iconic covers there for you guys available, and he will be very happy to sign that copy for you. And for those who know, in our diehard collectors over here, sometimes it's nice to see him again, and in this community is some answers that he's going to provide to some of our questions here for this interview might be something that you've never heard before. So why not? We're going to get started, Sam. So let's start with some your early life and beginnings. So let us know. Let's go back to the very beginning. Do you remember what was that first comic that you held in your hands? And if that made an impact for you, that you said, well, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, or it was not in your mind back then? Let us know.
You know, Oscar, I always enjoyed drawing. Everybody enjoys drawing as a little kid. So I just drew stuff. I drew dinosaurs. I drew exotic things, and then I came across comic books because my relatives had some, and I was just blown away. So I just transitioned to drawing superheroes, the superheroes in comics. And I do remember the first comic book I bought. I bought it off the stands. It cost me 12 cents. It was The Amazing Spider-Man #8. And as soon as I read that and, enjoyed the artwork, I decided, hey, I would really want to do this if I could.
You remember what was that age that you were holding that comic book?
It was very young, Oscar. I just, when did Spider-Man #8 come out? I'm thinking 1963, 64. So I think I was an amoeba.
I love that. I love that. Well, and how about as when you first decided you had that in your mind? I'm sure years to go by, but did you get any formal training as an artist, or were you that kid that were constantly doodling at school in notebooks?
I was sending in samples before I got any formal training. Just self-taught. Took all the art classes that public school offers. Grade school and middle school and high school, but I was sending in samples before college, and getting some responses from Marvel, from DC, and some other companies, and that was encouraging. Of course, they said, "Hey, you're not good enough right now. Keep trying." That kind of thing. But at least it was a response from, well-known professionals at the companies. So I appreciated that, and it kept me going.
Mm-hmm. And every artist has a turning point. Like keeping that comment in mind, that you get rejections, and sometimes that demotivates you a little bit. But every artist's journey is basically the same: getting a no for an answer, but having that feedback that, hey, you got to work on this, on that. So, like, when did you say, okay, I'm not gonna quit, I'm gonna still continue, and I can actually make a living doing this, and it's gonna pay my bills and everything? It's not, I don't want to be anything else but this, an artist.
Yeah, I was just focused on that, and I didn't know any better. I just didn't know any better. I didn't know that the companies would not take a chance of working with someone that was not in the area to be able to physically turn in the work to their offices, Marvel and DC, because they had already dealt with missed deadlines, because maybe the mail delayed or lost the packages with artwork, or something else along those lines. So they wanted people to physically come in, get the job, turn in the job. And I didn't know that. So I just kept trying, and they kept encouraging me. It wasn't until FedEx became a reliable company in the early 80s that opened up the whole country to other artists similar to myself.
Mm-hmm. Is that when you feel you got in touch with Marvel and DC, and they said, hey, we want you in? That before that FedEx era, do you think that was the most challenging moment in your professional life, or was it after?
Since I didn't know better, I just kept trying, and I sent them samples, and I got letters from John Romita Sr. I got letters from Flo Steinberg, famous people in the Marvel offices. I never got a letter from Stan. I got letters from Marie Severin, Gray Morrow at other companies, also professionals from DC who I can't remember, because this was the 70s that I was sending in samples and getting letters. And I kept, I believe I kept my letters. There might be some that I put on my Facebook. So that was just so encouraging, so encouraging. But, in the meantime, I had regular jobs after school. I did go to college. I took all the art courses I could, possibly take, from design to life drawing, just everything for years. I did not get a degree, but I tried to take in all the classes, and then I had to stop school and actually work full time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. In this industry, we've seen a lot of changes, even though I have the age that I have, just like you. But before, like many years ago, the industry have changed so much dramatically, especially in the previous decades. What would be the most noticed shift that, or the biggest shift that you've noticed that that the industry has changed, the comic book industry has changed, in your personal opinion?
Yeah, back when I read comic books, bought comic books, worked initially in comic books, they were on newsprint, not printed very well, and nowadays you have the use of digital tools, digital tools to help you do the artwork. And also the printing techniques are different, paper's different. So it's different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Have you, like, I don't know what is in your creative process, in your artistic type
I'll tell you.
Of, yeah,
I'll tell you, it's just, it's just a piece of paper and a pencil, just moving it around the paper. When I do covers for Marvel, I gotta do at least 2 layouts. They only ask me for 2, but I wind up doing more just because I don't know when to stop. And it's just on a piece of paper. And sometimes I've been in foreign countries where I can't email it to them, or I can't scan it, but I will take a photo with my phone and I will email that photo for their approval on the preliminaries, and then, go from there. But Oscar is just pencil and paper.
Nice.
That's all how I work. Yeah.
You still consider yourself as a traditional artist. I love it.
That's it. That's all I want to do. I can see a lot of great things in digital art, but it's not what I want to do. There's enough people doing it.
Okay, cool. And now let's go back to that Venom cover. So I want people to know that is an iconic cover. So for you in this case, like were there moments of doubt, or did you had something like an idea that this was gonna be a piece of art, a piece of work that was gonna transcend like for many years to come and decades? Did you have like something in mind that is like, I want to do something that is going to be so iconic, or it was just like a happy accident, like someone famous said once, right?
Oscar, I'm a fan of comics. So when Venom was introduced in '88, he made a big splash. People really enjoyed the character, his interactions with Spider-Man and other characters. So he was an exciting character. So I always enjoyed that. And by the time Marvel decided that, hey, Venom is going to get a new book, I had already been working for Marvel over a decade. So they came to me and said, hey, Sam, we're going to start this project. Venom's going to get a new book. You can't tell anybody. This is 6 months before the book is published. And I couldn't tell people what one of my upcoming projects was. But fortunately, Marvel had confidence in me to put me on the team. And again, Oscar, I'm just part of a team. Not one person, for the most part, can do a whole comic book. That's a lot of work to write it, pencil it, ink it, color it, and whatever else you have to do, that the editors do, coordinate that, put things together. So I'm just part of a team, and I'm happy that, I was able to work on a whole bunch of comics, but especially, Venom Lethal Protector, his first series.
Cool. Did the editors back in those days, did they allow you to have creative freedom? Like, hey, do something different, or it was very, very.
They knew, because I'd been working for them for over 10 years. They knew what I could do. So for the most part, they trust their artists who have been working for them that long. They don't set any limitations as far as I'm concerned, or related to me. I had no limitation. Now I will tell you, I did a background for that cover because it was just an image on there, and my background was I did it on a separate sheet. So I splashed a lot of black ink, and I had it like dripping down, so it kind of looked like a horror cover. And then I designated that that black ink and that dripping was to be printed in red. But I didn't know any better, because Marvel had already decided, hey, we're going to make this holographic cover and put webs, and it's going to be red. But I didn't know that, but I still, did my own thing. And so they didn't tell me not to do it, but that's what they went with, and I like it. I like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes they don't give us the big picture, right? And you do whatever you are great at it, and then you keep the work doing. Yeah,
everything is great.
And you said that you're so you're more of a traditional artist with traditional tools. What is your personal favorite tool? Is that a mechanical pencil, the traditional pencil?
No, I use a regular pencil. Regular school pencil, number 2. In recent years, I'll buy specialty pencils, and these have comic book characters on it. So I draw with pencils that have Spider-Man on it. So if you see me at a show, I'll have a Spider-Man pencil. It's just an ordinary pencil. It's not a special lead or anything like that. And I just like to draw with that. I like the character, and The ordinary pencil is fine. I don't use any special leads, no hard leads, no soft leads, none of that. Just I do use a blue pencil. So I use a blue pencil to rough things out, to lay it out. Light blue pencil, like a sky blue pencil. And so I will do my gesture drawing, and then I will tighten it up with a regular lead pencil. What that does, it builds the bases. Kind of like when you're doing a house. You put the framework up and then you put the finishing touches. So I use a blue pencil just to lay out and sketch with, and I finish up and tighten the drawing with a regular pencil. And then, of course, ink is just regular ink. It is waterproof ink. There's a few brands out now, but they're not as good as they were 40 years ago, 50 years ago, because now, Oscar, they're environmentally friendly. So they're not as dense and dark and stuff like that. And I can't even get the brushes that I used 50 years ago. So decades ago, I bought a bunch of them. They're very expensive brushes. They're Russian red sable watercolor brushes. You can't get them anymore. They can't do that to the animal anymore. The animal's not around anymore. So I just use my old tools. So a lot of things now are synthetic brushes, and cannot even get the metal pinpoints, the nibs that you put on the end of a staff. Now you got things like microns, which is kind of like a marker. Marker with permanent ink in different points, from super fine to, thicker.
Good. I see. And Sam, as artists, everybody's different, and everybody is different, but most artists have something we call it the Achilles heel. What will be that one technical challenge that you've always wrestled with? Is there anything that you feel like, hey, I gotta pay more attention to this part of the drawing because it's not my thing? Some, like you said, for the background, some artists say, hey, I'm gonna focus on the characters, somebody else needs to do the background. Some others are like very professional and they love to work on full detail with establishing shot or the backgrounds. Some of them are like, hey, give me the inking, and that is what I prefer, and all the cross hatching. Is there anything that you feel like you struggle a little bit?
No, I wouldn't say struggle. There's some things I don't like to do. I don't like to do science fiction stuff, but I did Star Wars. That's science fiction. I did G.I. Joe. That's not science fiction, but it has a lot of technical aspects. Anything that has weaponry. The G.I. Joes, the Cobra Commander. And his army. Star Wars and all the spaceships. It's a lot of technical drawing, and that's a slow process. So I don't like that as much. I would rather. Oh, which reminds me, Oscars. For instance, I turned down the regular assignment at Marvel on Transformers. That's in the 80s when it was super big, making lots of money and royalty. I just didn't want to work on, toasters and refrigerators. So I said, nah, thank you, but no, it's not what I want to do. So I enjoy characters more like, Spider-Man. Rom, I never worked on Rom. I don't think I would not want to work on Rom. He's a robot. So I don't want to work on robots or science fiction stuff. It's just too time consuming, too technical, takes a long time, and just wasn't what I preferred to do.
I've heard that before from other artists that they are not happy whenever they, first off, with the part of the weaponry, like weapons in general. They say, I'm a pacifist here. I don't like to work with or do anything about guns. And some of the artists say, hey, I feel that I start my creative process like drawing boxes and like those geometrical forms, and I want to then go with something more organic. But that part that you stick with the basic shapes, it's like I feel that it's unfinished, and I'm not happy about that part.
Right? Transformers, they got a lot of parts, and it's all technical, it's all mechanical. That just take forever. When I worked on GI Joe and Star Wars, it took me twice as long to work on those comics. Twice as long as the amount of hours that I put in every day. The deadline was still the same. You got 3 weeks to do this, get it done. So even though it took twice as long, I just had to, stretch the day out, just work longer than, the superhero comics. So, or the cartoon comics. I enjoyed working on some cartoon comics. I worked on Popeye, worked on Roger Rabbit, worked on Earthworm Jim, some characters like that. So I enjoyed cartoons.
Cool. I love your honesty and keeping that in mind. Have you ever had any moment that you had an editor that it was completely like against your work and you tried hard to prove that wrong, that, hey, I can do this, or maybe he was having this something specific in mind, but you had a better idea? Do you remember a moment in time that you had to work
Oscar,
with
I never had any trouble with any editor at any company. I just did my work. They knew what I was capable of doing, and they never said, hey, this is not good enough, or hey, you got to change this because we don't like the way you did this. So I never had any trouble. And I like the fact that, all my work was done from Texas, not in the New York City offices. I never had to go in and deal with office politics or anything like that. They just send me stuff through the mail. They told me it was coming. They told me when they needed it. I got it done. Then they sent me more work. So it was pretty simple. It was just, I just enjoyed it,
Good. Is there any title or character that you have never worked with and you would love to? Something on your list?
Up until last month, it was Deadpool. But Marvel gave me a Deadpool cover to draw, so I got that done. So I'm happy. I can't think of any other Marvel major character that I hadn't gotten to work on. I just don't ever remember working on Deadpool. I think I would have remembered if I had, but I just got a Deadpool cover, so I'm happy. Got it done.
Good. All right. Let us know something about conventions, because you've been to several conventions. You love to attend those conventions, and I know the fans love you. Do you remember any point in time or any cool anecdote that you had a very special moment with fans or artists, or just in general conventions?
Just hundreds of moments with all kinds of people, artists and fans. Being at conventions, I got to see artists that had worked on comics before me, comics that I bought as a little kid. So I got to sit next to Jack Kirby. I got to draw next to Jack Kirby. Not many people, hardly any, had that experience. And
Yes.
People from the 60s, artists and writers and editors from the 60s, I enjoyed the most, because I think that's when I bought most of my comics initially. So any old people, I like them. I think a lot of them, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. I got to work with Steve Ditko. I sort of got to work with Stan Lee. We did the Mutant Agenda. He did it in newspaper form. I was part of the team that did it in comic book form. It was also an animated series. So just, enjoyable stuff. And some things I've worked on, they've been made into also video games. So I worked on Maximum Carnage. It was a video game in the mid-90s. Venom Separation Anxiety. It was a video game in the mid-90s taken from, the work I had a hand in. So enjoyable to see stuff like that. And it's all over the world, it's everywhere.
Love that. So in this case, not just you, but people in general, all the fans, everybody who is familiar with your work, you are leaving a big mark in comic history. You're becoming of a legend, and I love that legacy that you want to spread to others, emerging artists, new artists, aspiring ones who are like pursuing their careers, or they're just reading comics and browsing those pages and probably thinking the same way as you were back in those years.
Well, I always try to encourage people, fans and other artists alike. I had good examples. I met people like Jack Kirby. He was just extremely professional, very nice, not only to me, behind the scenes, but I saw him interact with professionals and fans. So that was a great example for me. Another artist, George Perez, just super nice with everybody.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Yeah.
I just hope to be like those people in my interactions with, fans and professionals. And, sometimes fans will hang around a little too long. They want to talk about storylines or who would win, Hulk or Thor. I just tell them, it just depends on who's writing it. But sometimes they get carried away with wanting my opinion on storylines and stuff like that. And at a convention, I'm not able to do that when there's a few people waiting their turn. But I'm appreciative. And then some people, they're just beside themselves. They've got actual tears. They've got goosebumps. People have shown me their goosebumps because, hey, I'm one of the artists that worked on Venom, Lethal Protector, and Marvel Comics and all that. So I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely. The part that fans approach you and talk to you, and you can tell them those stories that you were with the most significant artists and legends and myths out there, Jack Kirby and Stanley. Like, I don't know, it's just like you are a torchbearer, that they pass that torch to you, and now you want to pass it on to others. And
it's always nice to return the favor. Artists and fans have done a lot for me, so I just want to move that along to another person. Got to work with Steve Ditko. I saw him in the Marvel offices. It wasn't on a Marvel comic, it was on Archie Comics when they had a superhero line under the trademark Red Circle. It was a character called, I believe, the Hangman. So I got to work on Steve Ditko artwork. I got to finish it in ink, and I got to also letter that story. So just very fun for me. And I got paid, Oscar. I actually got paid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best part of it, right?
It helps. And now, Oscar, I go to conventions as my main job. I've already worked on hundreds of comics. I will only do covers now when Marvel or another company asks me. Recently, I just did a Turtles #1 cover, so I was glad to do that for IDW. But mainly, I want to do Marvel covers. I'm not, I'm not against doing a DC cover, but I want to do characters that I enjoy. I've never done a Turtles cover. Finally got to do that. Never did a Deadpool cover. Finally got to do that. So, enjoyable stuff.
Sam, so before we wrap up with this great interview, great conversation we're having with you tonight, I just want to know some insight from you. There's a lot of people in here that
Oscar, I got to interrupt you. I got an important announcement before you give me that heavy question. Okay.
All right, please.
I want to let people know that I do have hair. Look, this is hair.
Okay.
People see me at shows. I shave my head bald, or I wear a beanie. You look at my photos, in interviews on YouTube and everywhere else. I got a beanie or I shave my head. Just want to let people know I got hair. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. Yeah, this is something that you've never seen, guys. You're seeing it here first, right?
I surprise a lot of people. Yeah, you got hair? Yes, I do.
Love it. So for those who don't know, Stan right here, he has hair.
Yes.
And taking that in consideration, you can see some gray hairs over there, and you have.
I'm surprised, Oscar. When I let my hair grow, there is some gray. I don't know why.
Well, probably because
Premature. I think it's premature. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. I know people know that you are 30 years old about like
I'm
you, right?
ageless. I like to think I'm ageless. But just happy to have fun with that. People always ask me, "How old are you?" I don't know. Try to find out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, guess it. But you have a lot of experience in this comic book industry. As a matter of fact, you're celebrating your 50th anniversary of professional life. And that is what we all need to know. Be aware, this community needs to know that you have a lot of baggage, a lot of art, a lot of great conversations, inspiration from many artists, writers, editors, keeping in touch with this community or even fans. What I would like you to tell us right now is think about those new talents, new aspiring artists, and people who are willing to dedicate their lives and commit their lives to do this as a living. So what would be your recommendation, your hints, pointers, hacks, tricks, anything that you would like to spread the word right now with them?
Oscar, I get that question at every single show I go to. There are many artists out there that are very good, but not professional in the fact that they don't earn their livelihood just by drawing, but they're still very good. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to get into Marvel. Marvel does not even accept any submissions. You can't send them in. I sent them in the 70s and they responded. You can't do that now. DC also very similar. DC does not even have a physical location. I don't know how they do it. Marvel still has an office. They're in a building. They're in New York City. But artists are getting into the industry every year. So it's not impossible. It's just very hard. But these companies have had decades of dealing with artists. So the competition is a lot harder than when I got in. They've already used a lot of artists, thousands of artists at every company, and some artists don't last long. It could be because it's not a very high paying job. You have to make it work by doing other things. Some artists do commissions to supplement their income. They go to conventions to, again, sell more things other than just relying on a comic book assignment. So it's very hard. But I tell artists, hey, it can still be done. It's being done every year. It's just very difficult. But you got to get your art out there on social media. Social media is the thing. Whatever platform, all the platforms you can think of, put your art out there. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, DeviantArt. I'm sure there's others I don't know, but you got to get your artwork out there. Try to create some buzz, and Marvel will, eventually hear about it, or DC. But again, don't rely on that. Be proactive. There's other companies that are not as big as Marvel and DC, but they're still publishing, books. There's IDW, there's Boom, and then smaller outfits, independents. So at every convention, there's a lot of self-published people that do their own comic books. So consider at a convention to meet and talk to these people and look to see what their route was. My route, you can't do it anymore. You just can't send in samples. You got to be better than the people that they got now and that they have used before. So it's difficult. But the good thing about it, Oscar, is that the styles have varied. Now you see at Marvel all kinds of styles: realistic, cartoony, and everything in the middle. So there's more of a chance. Back in the 70s and 80s when I started, it was considered that Marvel and DC had a house style, but now there's so much difference in style, from super realistic to very painterly work and even watercolor work. So people can still do it if that's what they want to do. But hey, have a job on the side. I always had a job on the side. In fact, I quit my job to start, with Marvel, and I lost $5,000 the first year just working with Marvel, as opposed to, me staying with my other job. I was a government illustrator for a few years, had benefits, I had good money, but it's not what I wanted to do. So I tell people, hey, be realistic, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm lucky and fortunate, but hey, I can do it, and I'm just one of many that have done it. So
Love
that's
that.
what I
Love
think.
that. Very true. Like, guys, you heard it. Sam is giving you a very big piece of advice, and diversifying your life to pay the bills. Sometimes we all need to pay the bills, and sometimes you have the luxury and you're lucky to make this as a living, and it's gonna pay for the bills. But if you gotta start sometimes from the bottom, and sometimes you don't get all the money that you want. So you heard this from Sam himself. 50 years of professional life, so that tells you that it's a journey. It's a journey. And because of that, for guys who don't know, if you don't know or heard it, in year 2023, to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of that back cover, the Venom Lethal Protector, that
Yep.
iconic cover, that one right there. Well, a new story was formed by the original writer, and Sam was approached by Marvel to do an exclusive cover for Gatorguard commemorating this event. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about this project?
Yeah, so very exciting. I guess the title is so popular they gotta redo it again. So it's Venom Lethal Protector #1, Volume 2, and with the help of Gatorguard, they teamed up with Marvel. Marvel reached out to me and say, "Hey Sam, we want you to do a new cover. We're starting, the title again, and just very fortunate and very easy to say, yeah, of course I'll do that." I enjoyed that. So with Gatorguard's help, I was able to get a start on drawing even more covers for Marvel. So I thank them.
Cool. Guys, for those who don't know, Gatorguard is a company that makes self-slab protectors for comics for all sizes and prints, but they also offer a handful exclusive covers, starting with Venom Lethal Protector Volume 2. So if you haven't had a chance to check them out, I would highly recommend doing so. As an owner myself, I know that this is high quality, and they provide exclusive Sam De La Rosa etchings in their cases as a nice option. So please, I'm going to provide the link on this video at the bottom, and you can just click there and go to their website. They offer good quality.
They are just excellent, Oscar. I own a few myself. I did some exclusive artwork for them, so they were the first ones to have it. Some Venom artwork, Carnage artwork, Spider-Man. There's some with my logo. So they've got a handful, if not more, of my exclusive artwork on there. And I was able to use one of those drawings as the corner box to that Venom comic book, which I can't find right now, but they used. I had Marvel use it on the corner box. So
that's great.
Gatorguard had it first, but Marvel got to use it and had it second. So anyway, I don't have one with the title, but this is the virgin copy of Venom Lethal Protector. And then the trade dress, that's where the corner box art was that Gatorguard had first. So
excellent.
Glad they were able to use it.
Guys, stay tuned, and you're gonna hear this very soon whenever that is released, so you can own a copy of that one. Sam, thank you very much for joining us. This is O Comics, and we're just happy, and we were delighted to have you here. And so this is an invitation for you not to end up with this interview only. Would like to have another conversation where you, in some moment in time in the near future. So thanks again for your time and all
I
your
appreciate
insight.
you, Oscar, and your interest. Much success with your video journeys here.
Good. Thank you very much,
You bet,
guys.
sir.
Thank you, and we'll see each other again.